Before history is written, it's played. Before it's frozen in time, it's fought one shift at a time. Before it's etched in silver, it's carved in ice. What happens next will last forever. The Stanley Cup Final on ABC and ESPN Plus begins Saturday.
Hi listeners, I'm Carolina.
And I'm Tessa, and together we are Femme Regard Podcast.
Femme.
We are a show dedicated to educating and entertaining underdeveloped filmmakers and film enthusiasts alike.
We love sharing our experiences as filmmakers, what we've learned and what we've gone through.
And we love bringing on professional industry guests.
We want our listeners to learn from the best and get an honest account of the biz.
So come join the Femme Fam and give us a listen every Friday.
Streaming on all the major podcast platforms, including YouTube and our website, femregard.com, and of course, the Geekscape Network.
Well, there's a party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and everybody's gonna spread the holiday cheer, 'cause it's Christmas. Oh, it's the best time of the year. Let's go fake reindeer.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
So, I mean, we've been having a nice little run of, if I had to give it any official category, I would say sitcoms we like but are baffled by how long they were on television.
Definitely. like, and it honestly, there's a crossover there of shows that I didn't know even existed.
Yeah. So, like, the middle I knew existed. I would see advertisements for it, and I would always think, oh, it's the janitor from Scrubs. Like, that was, like, my association. And I knew that people liked it. Like, it wasn't like it was on the air and you were hearing negative things the way that, like, 2.5 Men or Big Bang Theory would, like, have, like, very vocal haters. But I would say that, like, I mean, the name The Middle sounds kind of appropriate because it felt like people's opinion of it was very in the middle. Like, they were just like, yeah, it's fine. So when I saw that there were 9 seasons of this show, I was like, this show is on for a decade, and and like, I've really never heard anyone, like I said, I've never heard anyone hate on it, but I've also never heard anyone, like, praise it as this, like, masterpiece of television. So I watched this episode, and I liked the episode for sure. Good. But I would say that this is very much like, in the same way that we talked about how, like, happy endings is like, if you've seen any TV show about a group of friends, have seen happy endings. If you've seen any show about a family, like, you kind of get what the middle is.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to ask, why is it called the middle? Because in the opening narration, the mom even says "from the middle" in her Christmas card.
Let's see. It takes place in Indiana.
Okay.
But also, I think it's their take on them being a middle-class family. I think that's more or less what it is. Middle to even, I would say, like, lower class, maybe a little bit.
Now, is the mom always the narrator, or does narration change from character to character?
I think for the most part, the mom is always the narrator. I haven't seen every single episode. This was a show that got a lot of syndicated play at my parents' place.
Okay.
And we would watch it constantly. It was this, and Raising Hope was the other one that they like.
Raising Hope is
fell in love
so
with.
fucking good.
Yeah.
Is there a Christmas episode
There's
of Raising
gotta be.
Hope? There has to be. Man, Raising
we'll figure
Hope.
that out for sure.
What an underrated, weird, dark show.
Yes.
And I think that's see, like, and comparing them as, like, both shows that were on at the same time. Raising Hope to me is a much more interesting show because it is the premise out the gate is so fucking weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like dude has one night stand with serial killer and gets stuck with baby when they kill the mom in the electric chair. And like every plot line is like of that equal level of really fucking strange and kind of dark where I mean, it's hard with like any Christmas episode because I feel like unless you're an animated show, even the strangest sitcoms try to play Christmas episodes a little bit down the center.
Yeah, I would agree.
But this felt like watching this episode with no other context, I thought this was good, but it didn't nothing in particular hooked me as being like, oh, this is a show I've never seen before. Like,
it's a really good This Is On in the background, and now it's caught my eye, and I'm stuck here sitting to see how this fucking plays out.
I mean, it was a fun watch.
You'll get hooked. Like, this is one of those shows that I'll sit there and watch like 5 or 6 episodes of because of that, where I'm like, well, this is weird and goofy. Where's this going? Okay, that's kind of cool.
So I obviously pieced together a few of the things with the family. I feel like there's nothing specifically unique about the mom and dad beyond them just being like a middle-class mom and dad.
Yeah, just middle-class mom and dad, older
obviously
brothers.
The youngest kid is real fucking smart and weird.
Definitely somewhere on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The older brother, I couldn't gauge his age, how old he's supposed to be, but I guess he's kind of like
I think he's 17 right now, I think, in this.
Okay.
Or 17, 18.
Because he made a comment about, like, I'm living with my parents still, and I'm like, well, you look like you're 16, kid.
Well, he's
so
kind
that's
of a fucking idiot, too.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't picked up on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what's the sister's deal? That was the one where I'm just like, I can't get a gauge on this person.
The sister is Sue Heck. She is very reserved, not reserved, naive. Very naive to the world around her. Feels very sheltered from the world around her, which is weird because it's not like the family sheltering her. She's just the weird, straight and narrow kid. But doesn't have a clue of what's going on around her. To put that into perspective, one of the running jokes for one of the seasons is her first boyfriend, who is obviously gay, like 1,000% gay, and that's the bit. But she doesn't realize it, and it doesn't make sense to her at the end. They end up becoming best friends, and everything's fine, and everything works out. But like, that's the kind of character she is. She's ditzy, but she's not stupid. Like, she's a smart kid book-wise.
So is she supposed to be extremely religious, or is that like a one-off for this Christmas episode?
She is real into Reverend Tim Tam.
Okay, I was also going to ask about that, because the relationship was borderline uncomfortable for me at certain
She
points.
is religious. She's super religious. Not super religious, but she is... Again, she's that straight and narrow. She's the Christian girl at school. That's kind of her thing. Not that she's like strictly religious, but like that's just the character that they're going for. That very sheltered kid. Probably wasn't allowed to watch Harry Potter in school, or watch Harry Potter when they were a kid. But Sue would be, so it's weird that they made that character. But I think they were just trying to show us that, hey, here's this middle-class family with 3 very different kids, so the way they're going to interact with each of those kids and their problems is going to be different. So it did kind of make it interesting that each kid was so unique.
She probably had my favorite line of the entire episode, where she's talking to her younger brother, Brick, and he's talking about how the Bible has too many contradictions and it doesn't make sense. And she goes, well, there's a lot of episodes of Glee that don't make sense, but it still makes me cry.
There you go. Like, that should sum up as fucking Sue Heck for you. Especially because, and we talked about this during the Glee episode, I still am of the camp that show was very aware of what it was doing. And it was...
So we'll talk about the parents last, because I have weirdly the most to say about them, even though they're kind of like
I think that makes sense, especially with their behavior in this episode.
Yeah. I want to talk about well, actually, let's get through the older brothers plot line first.
Yeah, that's the easiest one to knock out.
And my biggest note that I wrote is, Chris Kattan is still acting. Good for him.
Okay. Just to make you feel a little old, this was 12 years ago. So he was still acting 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So good for him then. Did I ever tell you my Chris Kattan story?
It's funny. Barb and I had a conversation about Chris Kattan while watching this episode last night. And it was mostly that, like, I hear he's not a great fellow.
I didn't have any issues with him, but it's a funny story.
Let's hear the funny story.
All right, so like Monster Mania, this was when I was escorting for photo ops. So I went to pick Chris Kattan up, not physically, just to walk him over.
But you could
but you could, because he's a very tiny man. And as we're walking to the photo op, mind you, the photo ops are always late because people don't want to fucking stop signing autographs. People don't want to do what they're supposed to fucking do. So it's a pain in the ass to begin with. So I'm sitting there like, people are just pissed off at me because they think it's my fault. And Chris Kattan proceeds to say hello to every single person he passes.
Aw, well, that's very sweet.
He's a very sweet man, but like, he is who I think people think Tony Khan is in real life, to where he's like, hey, I'm Chris Kattan, nice to see you. Hey, I'm Chris Kattan, nice to see you. Hey, I'm Chris Kattan, nice to see you. Like, I'm like, dude, either this guy is just really hyperactive or he does have a coke problem, but I would never sit there and accuse someone of that on the air. So I'm going to say he's probably just very excited to be there. Yeah. But damn, that dude said, hi, I'm Chris Kattan, nice to meet you, to at least 150 people on our way back and forth to this photo op.
So my recent Chris Kattan information, anyway, is from a Watch Mojo video.
Okay.
Watch Mojo did like the 10 biggest SNL feuds of all time.
Okay.
And out of 10 options, Chris Kattan was center of 3 of them, which I was like, that's impressive.
That is impressive. What were the do you remember off the top of your head what
I
some of them
remember
were?
Specifically that Norm Macdonald and him did not get along.
That makes sense.
And Tracy Morgan and him didn't get along. And Tracy Morgan, I guess it was like in his biography.
That one doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, go ahead.
In his biography, he called out him and Sherry O'Terry as being bad people.
Oh,
and
shit.
he said something along the lines of like, to make it in Hollywood, people have to like working with you, and there's a reason why neither of them have careers, and I still do. I was like, God damn,
that was a burn. Oh, that's fucking awesome.
That's double. That's
not
like a double burn. It's like, not only are you calling them bad people, you're also dunking on their lack of a career at that point in the book.
Dude,
like, Jesus,
it is kind of insane how like,
because they were like the stars of SNL.
Oh yeah. Everybody loved them. They were the fucking shit.
Yeah, they should be like, Will Ferrell was kind of a like background character for a very and he's arguably the biggest person to come out of that.
Like, Will Ferrell was the other guy in Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah, like it was a Chris Kattan vehicle at the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the only thing I have written about him. His plot line is basically that he works at the tree lot and that his boss is very needy and weird.
Did you ever see Corky Romano?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I liked that movie when I was a kid.
I think that the best parts of Corky Romano don't usually involve Chris Kattan. It's like I forget which pen it is. Chris Penn? Is Chris Penn the one that's in there?
Yeah,
where he's
I
the
think
mobster that can't read and he's standing outside the ice cream truck. Yep. And it just has vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. And he's like, "Get me some of that there pistachio." Best part in the whole movie is him trying to order ice cream.
I believe that's a universally like hated movie, right? Like, people are like, that is one of the worst movies ever made.
I gotta double check. I think that it ranked well on the fucking Adam Sandler Please Stop. I think they covered that one. And
oh, nice.
We're like, hey, you know what? Some of this is good.
That's what I'm gonna have to check back out. Yeah, but his character is kind of. Yeah, honestly, I'm with Axel, dude. Before he apologizes, like, get the fuck out of here, man! Like, you're
what are you
40
doing?
Years old. This is creepy.
It's very weird.
Hi, listeners. I'm Carolina.
And I'm Tessa. And together we are Femme Regard Podcast.
Femme.
We are a show dedicated to educating and entertaining underdeveloped filmmakers and film enthusiasts alike.
We love sharing our experiences as filmmakers, what we've learned and what we've gone through.
And we love bringing on professional industry guests.
We want our listeners to learn from the best and get an honest account of the biz.
So come join the Femme Fam and give us a listen every Friday.
Streaming on all the major podcast platforms, including YouTube and our website, femregard.com. And of course, the Geekscape Network.
In the darkest corners of the internet, a nameless, formless entity has been growing. No one dares question where it was created or what it wants, but those who have been entranced by its musings chant its blood-curdling name in unison. Horror Movie Night!
Find Horror Movie Night on your favorite podcasting app or at hmnpodcast.com.
Let's talk about Brick now for a second.
Yeah.
Brick has a pretty good, his first line got a smile out of me where he walks into the kitchen and just goes, "Mom, you never told me church was based on a book." just like a very funny way to phrase it.
I just love her response of like, I thought you could figure it out. Like,
what's so weird about this particular issue, this episode, is that Brick is basically playing the line of like he might be leaning towards agnostic or even atheist.
Yeah.
The actor who plays Brick, I learned last night, extremely devout Christian.
Really?
Has a daily Bible study with his mom. Like loves contemporary Christian rock music. Like I couldn't find anything else, so I'm gonna just pretend that there's nothing darker or nefarious behind any of that. He said his favorite band. Here's something that you'll enjoy. Favorite band of all time, 1,000 Foot Crutch. So he's probably heard that awesome cover of Jingle Bell Rock.
Oh yeah, dude. I wonder if he's got a Twitter. I wonder if I could like somehow get in touch with him and be like, "Hey, man, I was just wondering. I heard that your favorite band's 1,000 Foot Crutch." I'm not even gonna ask and be like, "Hey, we talked about you on the Christmas podcast." I'm gonna be like, "Hey, I heard your favorite band is 1,000 Foot Crutch. Have you ever heard their Jingle Bells cover?" I'm really curious to know your thoughts. Jingle Bell Rock.
Jingle Bell.
Jingle Bell Rock. Jingle Bell Rock.
The best was like a year after we recorded that episode when you were doing like a Christmas convention thing with Teddy, and the DJ was playing that particular song, and you sent me a video of it. You're like, the DJ is playing 1,000 Foot Crutch's Jingle Bell Rock cover at this show that we're at right now.
It's so good. Yeah, it wasn't a convention. It was the flea market that she was working.
The flea market.
Hell
that's
yeah,
what it was.
dude, that was fucking awesome.
That's fun.
That song's so awful.
And then the last thing I wrote, he gets the last line of this storyline because him and his sister Sue are kind of like tied
we haven't really
together.
like the storyline itself is that Brick is questioning everything that he's been taught in church, and kind of everyone's was blowing him off until Sue was like, "I'm going to make it my mission to make you a believer." Yeah. So she of course brings in the help of Reverend Tim Tam, who I know it's not, man. You don't have to tell me it's not. Damn, do I picture Matt Kelly as this guy when he's working in the fucking church. This is who I picture, man. This is
I don't
who
know
I
if that's
picture.
a good or a bad thing, but I'll take it.
The teen, it's just the working at a youth group thing, man. Yeah. Like it's that typical thing. Like I was waiting for him to look at them and be like, "And now here's one from Five Iron Frenzy." And
I mean, fingers crossed. But so yeah, she's trying to help Brick, and even the pastor realizes like, hey, I can't answer this kid's questions, and she feels kind of let down by that, and she talks to the pastor about it, and he says,
dude, yeah,
he says like, oh, I gotta go to like northern Indiana to save some vampire girls. He goes, this Twilight thing's just getting out of hand.
That's the show I want to watch. I want to follow Reverend Tim Tam as he goes across the state of Indiana fixing things, but I want them to be like escalating in weirdness. Like I want to watch him
That's the spin-off show that you deserved.
Yeah, I want to watch him first start talking to these girls who think they're vampires, and then the twist is he has to hunt them. Like I want to watch that show.
The last note I wrote is tied to this plot line.
Yeah.
Which is that they're like looking at the snowflakes, and Brick says something along the lines of like, it's crazy to think that every single one of those is different. And she like turns it into like, like it's pretty impressive about God or whatever. And she
said, I made 10 and that took forever. God has to make 500 million.
Yeah. Talk about a miracle. And Brick says something along the lines of like, I might have a lot of questions in that Bible, but it is a really cool story. And then I wrote, is it?
It's kind of fucked up.
Because I've done Bible studies in high school, and I can tell you, large chunks of that book, very boring.
Yes. Yes. A lot of it doesn't make any sense.
A lot of begat. Like,
you know how like in school, in all of your English classes, you're taught basic story structure of beginning, middle, and end?
Does not exist in this one.
Not a lot of that.
Not in there.
Not a lot of that in the Bible.
Let's tackle the parents in the final storyline.
That just pisses me off to no end.
So here's my thing. I wrote this down about midway through it because this is genuinely, and I'm not sure how much you've had to deal with this. This is like a legitimate fear for me every single Christmas is when I find a great gift and then I have to walk this line of keeping that person from getting that gift for themselves while also not spoiling that it's a gift that they're going to be getting at Christmas time.
I get that.
It is the most frustrating tightrope walk. And like witnessing him go through this tightrope walk. And like they're kind of dunking on him about like a ladybug change. Like she goes, that's way better than ladybug change purse you got, Mom, for her birthday. And his friend goes, you got it as a joke, right? He goes, no, she said she liked ladybugs once.
So this all starts out with the parents coming home from a Christmas party, and she's really drunk. And she's like, oh, I had so much fun. You know what we should do? We should host our own little Christmas Eve get-together. And, of course, Mike is like, no. Like, I'm the sober one here. We don't want to do that. This was a very much a Teddy and I conversation.
Because I'm torn between this. No. I would love... Here's the thing.
I would hate gatherings.
I love gatherings.
You love holding gatherings.
So here's where I walk that line. I would simultaneously love to and also hate doing a Christmas Eve get together.
Yeah, but I don't think it bothered him.
I had an aunt who used to do it all the time, and I have a nostalgia for that. I have this nostalgia of like you go to the Christmas Eve service at church, and then you go to my aunt's house, and we're there until we're all tired enough to fall asleep immediately, and Santa shows up. And like as a kid, it was like, this is great. And then like slowly that tradition went away, and there's always like a part of me that misses it. But then there's also another part of me. It's like, well, I'm sure as fuck not going to be the one that takes over that tradition.
Well, yeah, but also it's not bothering Mike that it's on Christmas Eve. He just doesn't want anyone in his house. Like that's the thing is they don't want to have a gathering of people.
And I want to have a gathering.
I know you want to have a gathering
week
of people, but I'm kind of with Mike here, where I'm like, bro, you are starting something that I'm gonna be the one that has to deal with it. and you know what it turns into? Something that Mike has to deal with, kind of.
Well, especially because she gets drunk again and is real shitty to his terrible gift getting. I was really upset watching it.
Episode, I am so mad at her. This gives me flashbacks to the A Very Topanga Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, if you guys would just have a goddamn conversation, this will be okay. Like, we can get through this. Because honestly, by like the third bit where the mom is saying shit about the dishwasher, I'd be like, hey, just a heads up, you're getting a dishwasher for Christmas. And like I would not have made it to the party doing this, because she was fucking heinous this whole episode.
Which I think was the biggest thing that rubbed me the wrong way. Was that the resolution is barely a resolution at the end of this episode.
Yeah, he brings in the dishwasher, And then she's like, hey, I'm sorry. They have sex twice, and that is announced in the narration. She's like, so we made up twice. And then the dishwasher doesn't fit in the hole. Like that. Yeah. That's it.
He literally he literally just says like, I might be a bad gift giver, but you're a bad gift receiver.
Yep.
And then it's like, all right, moving on. We're all good.
And then
relationship
like, we made up
fixed.
twice. And then it's over. It's that one. Honestly, out of all three of the story plot line, like that was the one that to me did not really get resolved.
We could have literally written off the entire Axel plot line to give them a little bit more of a post that party, like,
to which I would have preferred. Honestly, I think the better Axel bit, which I know the whole purpose was for him to learn a lesson, but I think the better Axel bit is when he was in that room making out with that girl and he sees him outside, like throwing a fit, punching the snowman, when he goes like, I gotta take care of something real quick. And he just walks over to the fucking curtain and closes the curtains and goes back to making out with the girl. I know that would make him a horrible person, but I'm like, I don't feel bad for this Chris Kattan character.
No, not at all. He's being so unreasonable.
Weird. It's so weird. So weird.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to rush out and immediately be like, pause everything I'm watching. It's time to watch 9 seasons in the middle.
Honestly,
but now that I know that it's there, why not?
And
like,
dude,
it's in my periphery.
For as long as we've got this show running, I'm gonna hit you with another middle Christmas episode.
I'm positive. There might be up to 9 of them.
Dude, this is one of those shows that I associate with that time of year because I spent a lot of time at my family's place. Yeah. So it was like, like we're watching the middle, and it would always, the Christmas episodes would happen, and it turns into a thing where the middle makes me think of Christmas. Kind of similar to how Roseanne makes me think of Halloween and like that time of year as well. And honestly, I like this family's dynamic because it feels normal. Their house is a mess. Yeah. And I like that. Where like we'll be watching something like A Modern Family and I'm like, dude, I can't afford this house. I can't afford any of these homes. Where like this one's like, oh, okay. Like I relate to that. Kind of similar to how I felt like my family related to early Roseanne before it went like sci-fi and fucking weird.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. Well, Dylan, my feelings for you are never in the middle. They're always at the top.
Oh, man. My feelings for you are always at the top. At the top. Whoa. Oh, whoa, oh, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holiday. Have a great holiday. Have a merry happy holiday.
Hi, listeners. I'm Carolina.
And I'm Tessa. And together we are Femme Regard Podcast.
Femme.
We are a show dedicated to educating and entertaining underdeveloped filmmakers and film enthusiasts alike.
We love sharing our experiences as filmmakers, what we've learned and what we've gone through.
And we love bringing on professional industry guests.
We want our listeners to learn from the best and get an honest account of the biz.
So come join the Femme Fam and give us a listen every Friday.
Streaming on all the major podcast platforms, including YouTube and our website, femregard.com, and of course, the Geekscape Network.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.